Because I am the most important and the reason why human beings exist. It's all preordained, and then it's even more fake and preordained within the parameters of mostly chosen life, with an extra coat of veneer, an extra coat of plastic. Organic life is recreatable to a highly detailed degree. Animals and plants used for surveillance, or again, creating or recreating situations. Important situations, possibly, considering the cost of manufacturing and piloting. We're all fake too, convinced we're real human and real organisms. There is a sense that we all try to live life based on people or beings we actually look up to. Some fans or followers are almost manufactured in a lab, it seems, but there are real people who really do try to change or improve themselves based on others that they meet or stories they hear about, which brings about a sense like we're all in some ways infantile aliens to the human experience with full access to a functioning human mind, body, spirit, and life before finally settling in and deciding on what or who we want to be. Psychology is interesting because to me there is deeply rooted psychological realities that happen by highly educated and refined psychological beings. Deep down, rooted in the firm realities of naturalism or natural reactions, something happens to us. But so many people are gifted these immensely complex and interesting personhoods. So I argue that many times when wit, restraint, well-timed comebacks, or rebuttals happen, that is when we are most intelligently expressed, but also bottling, denial, ignoring, and ultimately confinement of expression might happen too. There isn't much to be said without specific examples. In reality, it is also unique and case by case, but the takeaway is truly the known natural reaction of unconscious or subconscious reality that is acknowledged, but in our day and age is rarely genuinely expressed or played out. This is why Shakespeare is a genius. He understands psychology and the natural reactions of people, stories, and drama. Yet, he will always find ways to masterfully surprise the audience. Arguably, someone like Will, being so important to the education system, might have needed a bit of padding or adjusting to fully concoct the many famous attempts at cultural genius. For him to truly exist through all his published works, and by extension, most, if not some, of history, there is a good chance that his credit is fabricated, synopsized, and amalgamated for education efficacy. Then, furtherly, it's shamed and posturized to question and maintain anything but that history is completely accurate except when academically acknowledged as otherwise. I'm just saying that over the many years, and of course, appeal to man's innate sense of infallible knowledge here, things aren't as complete or satisfyingly recounted as they are today. There are definitely hiccups and mistakenly miscategorized and filed works, files, and entire archives misappropriated on a daily basis to a food's dish true birthplace, or an idea or word's true origin. Slowly watches as his deft and quick but accurate spelling, language, capabilities, and vocabulary is trimmed and ensnared in a whirlpool of confusing traps. My sense of deja vu horrendous, and I'm begging for death, because it feels like nothing allows me to truly escape this horrendous experienced hell, this prison-like sensation of being so far down in this pit, wormhole, black hole, or whatever, that I can safely say, if my life is some exploration and damaged foray into the experience of lived again life, I have outdone myself yet again, is all I can seem to muster, as even the sincere novelty of this entire experience is inevitably already happened. It's hard to truly express how strange it is. The joy of my birth, the delight of Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I feel like a spoiled prince of a civilized citizen when I analyze it while playing. If I am a seminal or important person in this possibly most real but still fakish timeline or reality, which I am totally and completely assured and ingrained, interwoven, merged, interlaced, integrated, tessellated within, it would have taken a group of good and wonderful beings to bring the fantasy of my loved existence to life again, or for the first time. I fear that these beings have long since gone away, and it's hard to truly pinpoint an organization because, let's face it, I literally just said it's all based on what someone else told someone else who's responsible. So even if I'm like, Nintendo, it's like, what or who is really Nintendo anyway? But then again, these crazier and more outlandish ideas come from conspiracy theorists and deliberators throughout the ages, inspired by the foundation of skepticism that philosophical but still scientific inquiry instilled, but ultimately catalyzed by remarkably nightmarish experience on a research chemical. I would be damned if I will not wait to have it accurately analyzed and discerned. This experience was brought on by alien beings or human beings pretending to be aliens. Likely time-traveling humans, if this is the case, because what they can do and did to me is beyond what I am legally and in due sanity exposed to and am allowed to know as a casual, inquisitive, interested, average intelligence person. They expose me to one grand reality where the result was a split in timelines. You ever wanted to go back to a certain moment with the knowledge of all that would come after? Well, I feel like based on what happened, there is a distinct possibility that it could happen. And this is labeled psychosis. Basically, I did some stuff, and it made me see things. And I denied the seeing things as it frightened and confused me sober or under any influence. Just colored lights in the sky. I appropriately used just, as little did I know this was the least of the strange sights, sounds, and feelings I was to encounter during my college experience. Before long, they went away, but my two other friends were under the same drug. They also claimed to have seen the same thing, and worse still, it wasn't before long. I felt this life and situation was hell, but it was just a different perspective of the same thing I've always been a part of. I was convinced it was the more believable perspective for a long time. I felt the bodies of my friends near mine, but they did not offer me comfort. Like the entire situation was the sign I was in a manifestation of hell, that my whole life was my own personal, tortured experience, and only then could know it. I denied it before long. I'm experiencing that, but I'm already at the hospital waiting room. That my friends are dead, hurt, or worse. Then I am the one who's hurt and dead. I want and need to return home. My friends are helping to guide me home. I don't need help or guidance. My friends are evil iterations of the devil or demons. The plant life along the walk home grabs me and seems to be holding on to me for dear life. The plants are evil things clutching at me. Plants. Suddenly, we're back at home, and I mean, yay! The latest hockey game and the most advanced rhythm music video game. My home is a tiny little space-like fantasy gift. But I'm unsatisfied. I want to be more important. What I want is to feel important and loved. Before long, I notice a blinking red light. I become highly anxious that my life and the house's lives are ticking away. A massive explosion destined to happen. Later, I understand that there may have been a reality where there was some sort of show on a stage. I was performing for people. I'm floating, ascending in the purest form of light, as my body discombobulated, torn apart at the atomic level. The show. The audience is destroyed in some kind of nuclear blast. I was and had successfully been this performer. Instead, now I'm this chubby, unassuming guy. Ugly. Not good looking. And my one friend looks like the representation, amalgamation of all my friends looking at their best. He's the chosen one, and I have to help him to safely create performance success again. But this whole thing is ignoring who I am, what I've done to this point as myself, seemingly ignoring my entire actual experience. Before things get too calm, the danger signals get worse. The lighting, the room brightens as if it's a nuclear silo about to explode. I can't stop my heart from beating so hard. I fall to my knees. I scream, bomb, bomb, bomb. I'll never forget as I feel my body contort and constrict. Well, I'm doing it in homage, my mind's creation to appeal or appease some force in the room in my mind to protect or save us. Writhing and screaming, my friends say I was inhabited or exhibited sexual-like behavior. As if I needed to sexually express myself, have a great orgasm without a partner. Or with a partner, but, you know. It was crazy to see the rug start to grow into plants, as if to imply from this imminent explosion that new life will emerge. Then the plants become tiny little fuzzy dinosaurs. With destruction comes new life. I get to calm down at some point, and I go out to the street, and I shout at the stars from the dead, silent, quiet road at the end of our driveway, not more than 3 blocks from the local college. I say, do it. Take me. Show me something truly amazing. Possibly multiple times on multiple excursions. Yelling to the stars, and instead I feel this sense of affirmed loneliness. Because all my friends are artificial constructs, and I'm alone wandering the entire space-time existence of life. Then, the chance at lovers seems to only exist in alien beings manifesting as humans, which now causes me great distress. I want to be with a good person, not some possibly untruthful manifestation of life. My friends, we're so close, and he says to me that he's here for me. I ask him if he's an alien, and just like he does, he says, I'm your friend. And if that makes me an alien, then yes. I see him as an alien, and I can't keep reality in check for weeks after this whole experience. Fast forward. New house, no close long-time high school friends. The trips are continuously ramping up. Feels like allowing me to feel ever more intricate, impossible, and sometimes confusing realities, possibility, and even bad ones. The worst being this one. The screaming was heard and acknowledged. Aliens were actually sent on their way, physically manifesting in this universe on a spaceship. Only after the new experiences tell me I've made transcendental contact with real alien beings. I can probably just reference my other works here to help create some final product. Basically, we traveled and connected or communicated in both conceivable ways, physical and transcendental, but then much of my trip after the fact was spent experiencing the guilt and responsibility in the practical physical universe, how it would have happened. Teleported, tricked into walking to a trap house. It looks like the exact same stuff to the precise measurement. Projectors, hallucinations. However, it happened and had to happen. It happened, you know? Like, no matter what, even if it was a bit cheesy or gimmicky, I experienced mostly one that didn't feel gimmicky or fake. And then sometimes when it was, it happened to me in this lifetime. If I had ingested the research chemical before a certain time, or at all, the last affirmation of consequence, I was now on a loaded missile. My vessel, or home, was sabotaged and rigged to explode in an ever more impossibly tiny personal way. So that I would slowly feel my town was to be imminently nuked. My home contained in a biosphere that would take my life and my roommates. Then my body. I jumped into bed and I clutched the fuzziest thing. I was panicking, and the voices, though silent, in my head were saying I was going to die, and I had been continuously haunted by these signals every time I had partaken. But this time, I was almost ready. As I clutched and begged the quilt blanket, I clutched, no, no, no. Finally, I let go. Walked out of my bed, And in no time, I had these images or ideas introduced to me. My existence, not even my body, but something more important but less physical, was in a pod. My eyes, I had a body now, but my being was in danger. The government, the military, had prepared me to be sent flying on this missile at the incoming aliens. The danger to the human race and me being just another person equals their response. You were shouting at the heavens. What did you think would happen? I could feel myself heat up, like I was going to die in an unfamiliar feeling, unlike any heat from a fire I've ever felt. Was this radioactive or atomic destruction? I stared up at my pod, still in my room, and these excited young eyes, big black eyes, belonging to this alien. I can see it from outside my body like a movie almost. They're smiling. Do I scream? Do I betray the human race and warn them? Hasn't the human race betrayed me? Or is this aliens pretending to be time-traveling humans pretending to be aliens? My eyes. Total fear. And their eyes are so reassuring. Like even if I'm screaming, I can't articulate what I was going through. Aren't they telepathic? Supernatural to our understanding of the universe. Isn't my face enough? Am I screaming? Wait, stop, run, bomb. Am I conveying all of them at the same time? Do they understand English? Am I petrified with fear, or did the reassuring look cause me to betray my forced position of sacrifice? Did my military betray my right to be protected? Would they have? What of my people's responsibility to the knowledge of atomic destruction? Is all relevant history curtailed for this indescribably personal psychedelic journey? Is it because I really met aliens and it really does happen like this? I'm so long lost in a whirlwind of conspiracy, I don't know who to trust. I start to get lasting feelings. Everyone is planned, trained, or prepared actors and actresses. The nature of acting, not like anything I've ever experienced in films or seen in real life. The best actors are always undercover as planted individuals. Does this even become so key to time, space, and the history of living beings that I'm the reason why everything exists? Do I die and everything I've ever known actually ceases to exist? Is it so virtual and artificial that I am contained like in a prison to an unsatisfying and lonely experience? It is all too crazy. Too much to process for just one person. I know there's more, and I will find it and express it. Because I know I'm not the only one, but the idea that on this research chemical or under the influence of LSD we begin to actually understand, connect the total and actual reasons why we're alive here on Earth. And the reality is far more sinister than money or earthly influence and power can change. The source of my life is unknown, but the exact reason for why it is how it is, based on deals with the devil, interactions with supreme forces made in possibly macro structures or deeply personal or secret places. The balance of punishment and gifts based on things in and out of my control. Finally, the conclusion. There is a possibility where I created a tangent universe or timeline where I'm allowed the gift of living until my, quote-unquote, natural death. But in actuality, I have died at the edge of this explosion in space. However mystical, I am allowed to continue my entire life as if it almost never had happened. But this entire existence lives or exists in the seconds counting down to my inevitable atomic obliteration. Otherwise, the alien beings would only find the destruction of the human race satisfying at a later date for their incurred humiliation and trouble. So in essence, I die here and then rewind my entire existence like what I have lived has not happened. Perhaps certain people or other alien cultures know of my fate in this tangent universe or timeline. I'd like to inquire further. Utilitarian principle of variety or novelty. That interesting and yet unexperienced situations are of great value to this existence primarily. So, by submitting to this, I'm adding to the overall good of life. Ultimately, my death, or sacrifice, mortality, offers the ability for redemption, or a lack of vanity found timelessly throughout history. My death might not be in vain, but my life will go entirely unlived. And who knows what the afterlife promises, or doesn't. I do not know why I feel it would prolong the human existence other than I believe in a good and powerful universe. Freedom in a free ruling universe, and good does not exist where there is no freedom.